The rain battered the crumbling windows of Hope Haven Orphanage as Ayan huddled near a corner, wrapping his thin arms around his knees. The world outside was wild and furious, but it felt no more chaotic than the storm within his own heart. At 11 years old, Ayan had seen more loss, more cruelty, and more loneliness than many would endure in a lifetime. He still remembered the night he lost his parents, a screech of tires, the flash of blinding headlights, and then darkness. When he woke up in the hospital, he was alone. No mother's hand to hold, no father's voice to calm him. Just a nurse with tired eyes and the cold echo of paperwork being shuffled in distant rooms. Hope Haven became his new home, if the word home could be stretched to fit a place so gray and broken. The other children were kind in small ways, sharing crusts of bread, whispering stories at night, but each carried their own private grief, and grief builds walls. Ayan often found himself sitting by the window, dreaming of a different life. Not just for himself, but for every child who had been left behind by the world. He didn't know how he would do it. He didn't know when. But somewhere deep inside him, a promise had taken root. I will change the world. The first step, Ayan decided, was education. Books became his greatest friends. They were battered, secondhand treasures with missing covers and scribbled pages, but inside them lived endless possibilities. While others played in the yard, Ayan read under the dying elm tree, memorizing words he didn't understand, and dreaming of lands he had never seen. One evening, as Ayan struggled through a tattered science book, a figure loomed over him. It was Mrs. Sharma, the orphanage's stern caretaker. Her usual frown was missing. Instead, there was a strange softness in her eyes. "Why are you always reading, boy?" she asked, almost accusingly. Ayan looked up. Because books don't leave you," he said quietly. Mrs. Sharma was silent for a long time before she simply nodded and walked away. From that day, she occasionally left old books by his bedside, always without a word. Years passed. Ayan grew taller, sharper, and even more determined. At 16, he took a government scholarship exam. It was meant for exceptional students, though no one from Hope Haven had ever passed before. Ayan sat in the exam hall, heart pounding, determined to break that streak. When the results came weeks later, a cheer erupted through the orphanage. Ayan had not only passed, had topped the district. Newspapers ran headlines about the orphan boy genius, who had defied the odds. Offers of support trickled in. Ayan received a scholarship to the most prestigious high school in the city. For the first time, he left the crumbling walls of Hope Haven behind, stepping into a world full of shiny buildings, polished shoes, and expensive cars. But privilege came with its own challenges. His classmates wore branded clothes and spoke fluent English. They mocked Ayan's hand-me-down shirts and hesitant speech. Every day was a battle against humiliation, but Ayan clung fiercely to his dream. He studied harder than ever. When his classmates slept, he solved math problems under the dim light of his dorm room. When they partied, he read economics and philosophy, feeding the fire inside him. It was during one of those long nights that he stumbled upon the story of Nelson Mandela. The tale of a man who endured prison for decades to end apartheid moved Ayan deeply. If one man could stand against an entire system of injustice, surely he too could make a difference. "I will not just survive," Ayan whispered into the night. "I will change the world." Years melted into one another. Ayan earned a scholarship to a top university abroad. It was a place buzzing with ideas, debates, and innovations. For the first time, he met others who shared his passion for justice and change. He studied political science, economics, and human rights, stitching together a vision of a better world. But even as his mind expanded, he never forgot Hope Haven. He never forgot the broken windows, the empty plates, the lonely nights. On his 25th birthday, standing before a mirror in his small New York apartment, Ayan looked at himself, a young man, in a neat suit, with a degree from one of the world's best universities, and smiled grimly. It was time. Returning to his homeland, Ayan founded the Horizon Project, an organization dedicated to empowering orphans and vulnerable children. He started small, one home, 20 children, and a handful of volunteers. The world was skeptical. Politicians dismissed him as an idealist. Corporations ignored his letters. But Ayan was relentless. He met with leaders, pleaded for funding, told his story over and over, until someone finally listened. Then another, then another. Slowly, the Horizon Project grew. Homes were renovated. Schools were built. Libraries sprung up in forgotten villages. Children who had been doomed to a life of poverty now dreamt of becoming doctors, teachers, and engineers. Ayan didn't just give them food and shelter. He gave them hope, and with it, power. One evening, standing on the stage of an international conference, Ayan looked out at a crowd of thousands, world leaders, activists, and young students. The spotlight was hot on his face, but he didn't falter. "I stand here," he began, voice steady. "Not as a hero, but as a testament to what belief and resilience can achieve. I was once a boy with nothing, no parents, no privilege, no promise, but I had a dream, And I had a promise that I would change the world. He paused, letting the silence fill the hall. Change does not come from miracles. It comes from determination, from compassion, from the refusal to give up, even when the world tells you to quit. The audience rose to its feet, applause thundering like a heartbeat. Later that night, as Ayan walked alone along the empty city streets, he felt the rain begin to fall, soft and cold. He tilted his face upward, smiling. The rain no longer felt like sorrow. It felt like renewal. Somewhere, he knew, another little boy sat by a cracked window, dreaming of a better life. And now, because Ayan had once dared to dream, dared to believe, that boy would have a chance. Ayan's promise had been kept. He had changed the world, and he was just getting started. Moral of the story: no matter how broken your beginning is, it does not define your ending. Dreams backed by determination, hard work, and compassion have the power to change not just your life, but the lives of many others. True change starts within, with a promise you make to yourself, and the courage to keep it.